for joining us today. I'm Dr. Rhonda Savage with Miles Global, and I have our colleague with us, Heather Losey. Heather is with us today to help us talk about some common questions that we normally receive at the Miles Global headquarters. So Heather, what are you hearing out there? What kind of common concerns do people have?
Well, Rhonda, here's a question that we get day in and day out. As you know, most dental team members or teams are predominantly women. So how do a group of women work together effectively, efficiently, and harmoniously day to day?
It's the harmonious part that's the big question there, isn't it? And even if your office does fairly well in that area, I find every practice can increase in the areas of teamwork, communication, and the business systems of a practice. So one of the ways that we work with practices is with the DISC personality communication tool. So you really understand your strengths and weaknesses. And DISC, as a communication tool on the computer, can merge your team together, and you can really see those dynamics and the natural tendencies that people have. Because I do believe we need to respect differences and our strengths and weaknesses. We need to know those. In addition to DISC, though, I also find that many times teamwork doesn't exist front to back or back to front. So what are some of the things we can do that we can put in place that can make a difference? Well, number one, I believe that the doctors need to squash gossip. And doctors, yes, this is your responsibility. Even if you have an office manager, you can't abdicate your role as a leader in the practice. It doesn't work. So your team members need to know what your values are. What is it that you want? In my office, my values were that we didn't have negativity. We didn't have favoritism. We didn't have gossip, which are all things that pull the morale of a practice down. So when the doctor says, no, these are my values and this is what we're going to adhere to, then the team tend to get along better. As well, I believe all team members need some form of accountability. Heather, what do you find? You know, you and I both have been team members. What mattered to you as far as being a team member?
Well, it was the mutual respect, I think, from your team members, and then also along with the communication, I think also comes with your job description and the accountability, knowing what you're responsible for in the office. So not only the way you treat the other team members, but exactly what your job duties are. And when you're doing that and being held accountable for that and succeeding at that, the morale in the practice just goes up for everyone, I think.
Yeah. And don't you find, Heather, that when we're overstaffed, we can actually see more issues than if we're understaffed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you have time on your hands, I mean, there should never be a minute in a dental office when there isn't something to do, as we all know. So if you're finding you have extra time, there's clearly an issue that needs to be looked at.
And time management really is one of the main concerns in a practice. How do we find the time to train our team? How do we find the time to get them where they need to be with their verbal skills? Training is an ongoing process, as well as when we're looking at the practice besides those systems. We're also looking at systems in hygiene and in every department of the practice. And hygiene is one area where we get a lot of questions.
I'm glad you said hygiene. Yeah. So as there's so much media attention right now on periodontal disease and how it affects your overall health, we get questions, again, every single day about how do you now take a patient that has had a cleaning and now educate them that they are a periodontal patient and that their visits with their office are going to change?
You know, it's an excellent question. You know, the standards have changed. Time has passed. We know more now about the impact of periodontal disease as it affects the entire body. And your patients are learning the same thing too from the media attention. So I believe first step, if you haven't done this already, develop a written periodontal protocol within your practice where as a perio team, our hygienists and doctors agree on the location of the probe, the angulation of the probe, and the pressure on the probe. Write that down and then practice on each other during a lunch session where you're all together, and make certain that you're standardizing those three components. And then also, you need a written guideline for the team. You know, what do we do with those patients with 4 to 5 millimeter pocket depths? We can talk in depth about that. I wrote several articles that I would love to get to you. One is on periodontal protocol, getting there early, and the other is titled, I Just Want My Teeth Cleaned. How do we verbally get the patient committed? There is a model out there that can help communicate with a patient. It's better than the Casey education system. It's better than books or drawings or graphs. The model is real life for the patient, and it shows what the gum and bone should look like, and it shows normal, healthy gum and bone, periodontal disease, moderate periodontal disease on the lower left, and severe perio on the upper left. The model's made by a company called Kilgore International, and you can actually pull the gums back and show the patient. So with perio and hygiene, it is a complex question. What should you normally find if your hygienist is doing well with perio and the perio protocol in this day and age? You should find that approximately 1/3 of her production is in the 4,000 codes, which are scale and root planing, perio maintenance, and any adjunct services. And also, our hygienists need time though. You can't do a perio patient in 45 minutes to an hour, typically. We need to talk about the hygiene time and what all should be within those parameters. So in addition, we also find that the big insurance question keeps popping up. Heather, what are you getting out there with the whole PPO world?
Insurance is huge. It goes from one side to the other. So we either have doctors calling with questions regarding their current PPO provider, and currently their write-offs are so significant that they're drowning. They're working harder and making less money.
Yeah.
And then we have doctors that have been fee-for-service providers for so long who have patients now with this economy, you know, with their insurance. So they're wondering, to attract new patients, do they need to become PPO providers? I know there's no easy answer to that question.
There's not, and it's a complex question that we should dig into for your practice to make sure that the answer fits your needs. You know, while questions are common, it's the solutions and then the implementation and making change stick that needs customization. Now, with regards to PPO participation, in some demographic areas, it's almost suicide not to participate. In others, the joining of a PPO is a question mark, and you need to look at your existing patient base and find out how that will impact your existing patients. And then we need to look at the industry in your area and say, okay, is this the right thing to do for the practice? But keep in mind, in a PPO world, something has to change. You can't do things the same way and have the increased adjustments. So typically the issues that we need to consider are your staffing, the laboratory that you're using, as well as your supplies. So those are the common concerns that we need to address, and that should be customized. We need a lot of information to make that answer applicable for your practice. In addition, should you go away from a PPO, we've got to look at your active patient base. We need to look at the number of patients that you're getting in the door. What are your marketing efforts and your marketing budget in this day and age? What do you need to grow your practice from a new patient standpoint? You know, just to give you some statistics, in order to grow your practice, your patient base, you need 25 to 40 new patients per month per doctor. Just to maintain your patient base, you need 10 to 20 new patients a month per doctor, full-time doctors. And if you're getting less than 10 new patients a month per doctor, your practice is actually declining, and we need to talk, because marketing is an ongoing effort that every practice needs to realize. And it starts with a great website. The whole marketing arena has shifted significantly. Times are different than they were before. And I'd have to say, Heather, what patients want is different than before too. You know, it used to be that they were looking for friendliness, they wanted a good atmosphere, they want a relationship, and they want a reasonable waiting time. Are you keeping your patients waiting on a regular basis? That actually anti-markets your practice. But in addition, I find patients are looking for technology, they want convenience, and they want a good price, as well as value, and value is where it's at. So our company gives a lot of value in everything we do. Give us a call at 877-343-0909, extension 1, and Heather and I would love to talk with you, or any of our other colleagues or consultants. Thank you so much.